And we're back talking NASCAR on Prime Sports Network following Nashville. And now we get ready for another road course at the Kwik Trip 250 at Road America. Eric Smith from racereviewonline.net joining me once again. And Eric, you just gotta love the big surprise that it rained on a summer late afternoon, and they were very lucky to get the race in on Sunday night. They moved the race to the USA Network. It just boggles my mind how a company this big can handle things like that, transitioning from one network to another network in a rain delay so poorly. I don't know how anybody stuck with them unless you are a true 100% diehard, I can't do without my NASCAR fan.
That's probably all the ratings you're going to get on USA. And even those, that concerns me is a lot of those people are probably in the older realm and they probably don't have social media. So if you don't have social media, how would you know the race was on USA? They didn't really say much of anything, and there wasn't really anything on there like updates wise.
That's the thing. See the little thing on the bottom of the screen, tune into USA Network. I think it was if it's going to be on tonight, it'll be on USA. If it's tomorrow, it's going to be at noon on NBC, I think they said. And then, okay, great. So I turned on my USA Network like about a half hour later, and I'm watching CSI, whatever that.
Law and Order. SVU. Yep.
And there is nothing.
Nothing.
No tickers. Nope. Nothing. No countdown to regreen. Nothing.
Yep.
Until they started again. And then I'm supposed to just blindly watch this television show while I wait for just some random boop. All right, we're ready.
Yeah, there was no updates. There was no nothing. That's in the 21st century. There's got to be a way to reach people that, like my grandpa, he's a huge racing fan. He doesn't have social media, so how would he know? So it's like, how do you let them know? Well, you've got to find a way. I have NASCAR's apps. There was no push alert. There was nothing. There was nothing telling you at 10 o'clock they were going to end up racing again. But that's part one of the problem. The other part that concerns me, again, we talked about this last week, 5 o'clock start time. What in the world? Like,
the LPGA Major was on.
Yep. It's like, come on, the LPGA is bumping.
They ended up on USA Network anyway.
Exactly. Here's the other thing that especially with NBC, and Fox could do this too, but NBC has Peacock. Could you not start the race at noon or 1 on Peacock, and then in tape delay, put the race on NBC, USA, whatever, in your West Coast window? And then, so the diehard, let's be honest, the diehards would watch on Peacock. You already know that. And then maybe you pick your casuals up on there, but the race is already done. It's a win-win for the fans in the stands. It gets the race over with before the weather. And then on the off chance the race gets, let's say the rain is earlier and it bumps you back a little bit, well, then you're just going to, you still line up on. So I would like to see them utilize that a little bit. What's the wrong with using a tape delay on the network?
No, but look, again, we've said it over and over. Golf does it. If it rains, if they think there's going to be rain in the forecast, they will purposely move the tee times, even if they have to like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning instead of 1 in the afternoon or 2 in the afternoon. And then you're watching a tape delayed event in the final round. So golf can do it. NASCAR can do it.
Yeah, and I get like people like, oh, the spoilers. Let's be honest. The only reason you're starting the race normally, other than this last week, at 3:30 is to capture the non-casual fans. They're not on social media with the spoilers looking at NASCAR anyways.
Yeah.
They couldn't care less about me or Gluck or Bob Pockers. They don't even know who those people are, so you're not spoiling it for them. And the diehards, you get it over with. So I would like to see with NBC that they have the Peacock available. Try it out. What's the worst that's going to happen? I
don't know.
Again, I keep saying it. West Coast viewer,
no, I don't want to
where
hear that. Yes.
are you? Yeah. You, the reason, again, that we finished the race at midnight Eastern is that West Coast viewer, the imaginary West Coast viewer, that magically is going to turn all these ratings.
Sickening.
You're the reason. Yep.
And so we get a race which was much better than last year's, and we were definitely happy about that. We thought that could have been the case with the new car, and great. That was good. Again, it was hard to pass at the lead, yes, but at least there was action, and there were a lot of different scenarios, so it wasn't like one particular car dominated. But then we had the delayed caution, and how many times have we talked about this? And it really took, I mean, finally, too, I think maybe this might be the wake-up call, the crew chiefs, because not only have we been saying this for years, the last few years, but now the announcers said it. How do you pit? How do you, not just the guys that decided to pit, Truex, Hamlin, and Kyle, but if you're 12th, 15th, 20th, what are you doing pitting? For what reason? You can move all the way up to like 6th, 7th. And what are you going to lose 3 or 4 spots in 2 laps? I don't understand what they're doing.
And I can slightly understand if there wasn't, like, there's a big disparity. Like a Richmond, there's tracks with a big difference in new tires. And I get that. But after, there was 300 laps. So 291 laps of racing. You didn't figure out that there was no difference really between new tires and old tires. It's like you should have known that. I mean, Chase Elliott on old tires, he was untouchable still. So I don't know why the Gibbs guys pit. Especially what's baffling is they were 2, 3, 4. You could have worked together even if you were a little bit slower. You know how NASCAR is. You know they're going to want to go to a 3-lap shootout. They were not going to green flag that thing for 5 laps. They wanted green, white, checkered. You know how they operate. Hell, they swallowed the caution flag in the end when Kozlowski's in the wall. He's slow on the track, and they're like, look, Chase Elliott's leading, so let's just leave it alone. It's like, so you knew that this was going to be a fabricated green, white, checkered. You should have known that for 3 laps or 2 green flag laps, you would have been fine. So, yeah, they lost the race.
Terrible.
I feel like on speed-wise, with 3 of them against 1 of Elliott, they would have really went by Chase pretty easily there.
They had the dominating car the entire night. So what made them believe that all of a sudden, even though Elliott was even Elliott would have been a little fresher, but not even, Elliott would have been a little fresher, but still it didn't matter. Like you said, there were 3 of them. It's just, especially when it was so hard, even on the restarts, to get any sort of lead. It was always going to be whoever lined up next to Elliott. Who was that? Was that Kyle?
On the final restart?
It would have been.
Kurt. Oh, would have been Kyle. Yeah.
So come on. I mean, Kyle could have been going head-to-head with Elliott, and then the other 2 guys could have figured out a way to make Chase's life even that much more difficult. So I don't know.
Well, what you probably would have done is would have seen Elliott would have chose the low lane. Kyle would have went high. 3rd was Hamlin. I would have went high behind him. 4th, Truex. I would have went high behind Hamlin. Then you got 3 in a line.
Leave Elliott all by himself. Nobody pushing him.
Yep. Hamlin goes above Kyle, and then you leave Truex to give the nudge to whoever has the advantage of the 2, and you push the other one past Chase. And now you're mano-y-mano, and then the other one that was left out is battling Chase for 3rd. You probably would have got a 1, 2, 3 if you would have played it
And then
right.
we're hearing, but the crew chief actually that's what his decision was, but it was misinterpreted, and they really I mean, come on. I mean, how do you screw that up? Is that because of these stupid codes they're now putting up that people are getting confused by them? And if that's the case, just get rid of the stupid codes. They were working in this sport for how many years without the codes?
Yeah, you don't need codes. You're going to put it on film what you're going to do. You got to come down pit road. You don't need a code. Who cares? They're going to watch what you do. And who are you coding against? Because most of the other teams are trying to figure out, is it the fans in the grandstands you're trying to code against? It's like, who's listening on pit road to you at that moment when they're trying to figure it out themselves? So, they overthought it. They overthought it. Chase outsmarted them. And
I mean, you got to believe. Did you hear anything from Kyle or Truex after the race?
Nope, they don't have to since they're not in the top 5, top 3.
That's probably better off.
So, yeah, I was expecting Kyle to want to fight his crew chief, and like, what in the hell was that?
Yes.
Like, why did we pit there? We were second, but yeah, they went from what should have been a 1, 2, 3 to 2 of them outside the top 20. It's like and here's this. I mean, looking into the standings right now, Kyle's fourth in points, and he's 539 to 586. He gave up 20 points right there. So that you're up to 5. He arguably close enough could have been near the overall point standings lead if he would have won that thing.
I thought that's the whole idea is the points race at this time of the year.
Yeah, especially that's 15 playoff points for the regular season champion. You went backwards. Yeah. You went what? 21st?
Elliott's the leader. Like so who's leading. Stick with him. Stick with the leader.
Yeah. When he stays out, I get in the past with old tires, you do the opposite what the leader is going to do. This track didn't set you up for that, especially at night racing. So, yeah, they lost that race. I was telling my kids, they were asking me about, well, why didn't, when they went to bed, the Gibbs guys were dominating. Like, why didn't they win? I go, well, sometimes, guys, some teams win a game, but there's other teams that maybe the other team didn't win. The team lost it themselves. Gibbs lost it themselves. Yeah. Elliott didn't, I don't think, necessarily won that race. He was gifted that race. Yeah. The Gibbs guys,
Joe Gibbs,
they punted on a win.
He'll fix it. He's not satisfied at all.
You got to. No.
Kyle lost.
It's the old
19.
Isn't this the old example of like with Tom Brady and you're down like 3 and you're at the 30-yard line on 4th down and you're like, do we kick the field goal or go for it because we don't want to give them the ball back, and you just decided to go for it and you got stopped. It's like, what were you thinking? Yeah. You take the points. That's kind of what Gibbs guys did.
Yep. Kyle lost 19 spots when it was all said and done, and Truex 18. So really bad decision.
That's each spot is a point. So that's basically 20 points they both lost. That could come back and bite them. That's something we'll have to mentally note. Sure. Come to the end of the regular season. If Kyle loses the regular season crown by 18 points, that race single-handedly took him out of it.
Your fantasy team continues to do well. You picked up a lot of points without winning. You won for the third straight week, I believe?
Third or fourth. Yeah. No, third straight week I won, but I had 3 wins. So this is the 4th time I've had recent. I didn't win a week, but I won a race. You beat me in points wise.
So you're 40 points back of the lead, and CJ is 120 points back of second place. So that's we're getting close. We're just all piled on top of each other as far as fantasy goes. And now we head to a road course, which should make things even that much more interesting. The Kwik Trip. So is this like do they spell Kwik Trip differently this year? Like Q, there's a Q W-I-K. And there's a KW, right? What's a quick? There's a quick something, isn't there? What a QU whatever. There's a quick something.
No, I don't know.
I can't.
I know this is always. It's like a gas station or something. QWIK Trip. TRIP. Yeah, I've seen
it somewhere. I can't remember. It might have been another year. Oh no, here it is. The Folds of Honor Kwik Trip 500, spelled QUIK.
There you go.
And then this week we have the Kwik Trip 250, spelled KWIK. Yeah. So
they probably had to spell that wrong. Yeah, it sounds like they're off.
Somebody's off, but it's on the logo.
Somebody's off. It's on their logo. That'd be hilarious if they got the logo wrong. But
so, how many drivers do you think that we correctly predicted together?
Ooh.
And by the way, now 4 straight weeks that I've been able to have a winner and make money. You've had 3 straight weeks of picking a winner and making money. So we're in a nice little roll there. We haven't hit the big one though. We need the big winner, the winner that gets us $200 or $300 that we can really
really cash in. I know we're 20 here, 80 here, 50 here. I'm gonna say 6 guys, 5,
3.
6. We guess 3. Oh, really? That low?
No favorites.
No favorites. Okay, Allmendinger.
No.
One of them. Cindric.
Yes.
I don't know if CJ Harvick.
No.
No. Okay. McDowell.
Yes, my new fantasy driver. I said it last week.
Him.
If Stenhouse didn't pull his weight, he's out. So McDowell's in and Stenhouse is out. Who's the third?
Suarez?
No.
No.
By the way, you and CJ have Suarez and AJ.
Try to think. You're talking. Is it more?
You and I have Harvick.
CJ usually always went hard. I'm shocked he didn't go Harvick this week for 40-1. That was trying to think who else is out there.
Should be pretty simple.
That'd be longer. I'm probably overthinking. Is it Bell? Yep. Okay.
Yeah, 15-1. Bell. All have money on Bell, Cindric, and McDowell this week. And as far as the favorites, Elliott and Larson, remember this is a road course. So in the past, the odds were a lot lower, 2-1, 3-1. So we're getting 5-1 on Elliott, 6-1 on Larson. It's interesting. You and I went with Elliott. CJ went with Larson. So none of us took both drivers, which makes sense. I think we're starting to learn this year is a little bit different. There's no reason to take two heavy favorites in any race, even a road course. But again, CJ went with Larson and we went with Elliott. So why did you go with Elliott over Larson?
I feel like Elliott's running better. I feel like he's shown a little bit more speed. He's been better on road courses this year. He won this race last year. Larson, he doesn't even have a top 10 in any road course race this season. And again,
I was 16th on this track last year.
Yep. And I feel like, too, without having his crew chief might hurt him this week, too. Because I feel like it would have hurt him last week. Remember that he was fading. And then they got the red flags, and they would on Zoom calls, and they were able to talk, and Cliff Daniels was able to give his input because he's suspended doesn't mean they can't talk to him.
Okay.
So he was able to give him what he needed done. So if you don't have those red flags, as we saw, Kyle Larson wasn't going to finish the top 10 last week. So I just don't know how him and this crew chief are going to gel when, let's be honest, without Cliff Daniels, Kyle Larson has no road course wins. His prowess last year was with Cliff Daniels. So I thought for his odds, it was a little, I don't trust him winning this week. I don't see, you're starting to see a pattern here with the other two road courses, and Larson hasn't been it. And he's just, even with the tire falling off, I still don't think he was going to win.
Yeah, he
Sonoma.
should be more like 8 or 9-1.
Yeah, would have been a little more like baiting if he was that way, but not for that. I think Chase is your more safe pick between the two.
And Chase is the defending champ. He led the last 17 laps, 24 total. 4th at Texas, 8th at Sonoma. So again, at least he has also something going on, not only at this track, but on the road course compared to Larson. Plus, Elliott coming off a win. He is the points leader for a reason. So if both odds are the same, why would we not take Elliott over CJ? But I mean, over Larson, but CJ thinking out the box, and we'll see who can capitalize on that. Not that any of us are making much money off of it, even though Elliott seems to be the one driver that you are pretty much banking on to win the race. You've invested 27 of your 100 on Elliott this week. Meanwhile, you've got Chastain and Kyle at 8-9-1 respectively, and CJ went with both Chastain and Kyle. You went with Chastain, and I went with Kyle. So we all thought differently with these two drivers. Chastain 7th last year in this race, coming off the win at Texas this year, 7th at Sonoma. Kyle 3rd in this race last year. Terrible so far this year. We're going to get into that. That's a big deal. Yep. Joe Gibbs and the road course setup. But I'm pretty sure I was looking at the notes, and Kyle was 3rd in this race last year, starting with a backup car in the rear.
Yeah, I punted on Joe.
Yeah,
Gibbs.
Why do you think there's a problem there?
Because they've looked terrible in Toyota across the board on road courses. They've even if you throw in 2311, they've been terrible on road courses this year. And you look at Sonoma, and not one of them was in the top 17. And I just don't know how you just turn it on when they're this close together. They haven't had a lot of time to work on the road course cars. I just feel like the pattern is showing their road course cars aren't very good, and the speed's not there. And Road America has some speedy sections on it, and there's also technical turns. And for a 4-mile road course, if they haven't got the road courses yet right yet, what makes you think out of 4 miles they're going to get this one right? So there's
2 more road courses right after this.
There's seven. There you got Watkins Glen. You got Indy. There's still another. Hold on, I got it right here. You got Road America, Watkins Glen, Indy. Oh, and the Roval. There's still 4 more left.
Oh, the Roval.
So,
well, they better figure it out.
Yeah, they just have not looked good, and I thought their odds the way they were. I'm like, that's that. I don't trust them for these odds yet. So Chastain, he won COTA. He was up front in Sonoma. His teammate won Sonoma. So Trackhouse is 2 for 2 on road courses. So that's why I sided with them, and I want to see what Gibbs can come up with. Plus, it's got to be a bad taste in their mouth with how Nashville ended. It's like you've got to somehow get that out of your brain and go into a racetrack that's not going to be favorable for you. So they might be just more apt to just take a top 15 and move on. So we'll see what they do.
And by the way, I want to remind everybody, if you have any questions at all, comments, let us know in the comment section. It could be on fantasy, could be regarding any specific driver. You have any IndyCar questions or anything like that as well? There's a race this weekend. You can let us know in the comment section, and we will respond whether or not it's intended for me, Eric, or both of us. Especially, you want to make sure it goes to Eric more than anybody. He's the expert here. And it could be on props, could be on wagers, fantasy, like I said. Any questions at all, just let us know in the comment section, and we will get back to you same day. As far as the next set of drivers at 12-1, including 2 more Joe Gibbs cars, we'll start with Hamlin and Truex. Hamlin, slow in both races. Truex did finish 7th at Texas. As far as those 2 drivers, now again, you stood completely away from Joe Gibbs. CJ and I went with Truex. CJ also went with Hamlin, by the way. So CJ is like all back in on Joe Gibbs Racing. I did not go with Hamlin. But for me, it was really about Kyle's just so hot, and he's been such a good road course driver over his career. I put money on Kyle, but most of that is just on history. And with Truex, it's a combination of history, and we kind of touched up on it before the race on the weekend, where I mentioned to you that I was going to put money on Truex, and it almost worked out. Because of what you've been saying the whole time is as soon as he has his personal decisions clarified, he should be ready to get back to business on the racetrack. And that's exactly what it looked like was taking place, because he didn't start well. And, as far as qualifying. So that's the reason why I just decided, you know what, I'll give Kyle his pass because of that. And I'll give Truex his pass just because he might just be in that frame of mind where he'll figure it out. And he's also a very good road course driver.
He is, and he seemed back last week, and you can tell he was aggressive. He quickly was moving forward. And then, again, not for that pit call. He had a top 3, not a winner second. It was coming. He was there. I just didn't trust him. But out of the 2, I'd say Truex, only because I don't think Hamlin is going to win this week. And here's the main reason. He keeps talking playoff points, and he keeps saying, I'm not going for finishes. I'm going for playoff points.
Why not?
Well, everybody, Road America, 4-mile track, you're going to be able to pit with like 2 or 3 to go in the stage, punt points away, and cycle to the front after the stage. Well, who do you think is going to take the stage win? Denny Hamlin. And you get a playoff point for winning the stage. Well, here's the reason why I keep saying that. The most playoff points scored this year, Elliott, Chastain, and Byron each have 13. Hamlin has 12. All he needs is 2 stage wins, and one of those 3 not winning the race. Who do you think is leading the playoff standings if the playoffs start? The guy 20th in points would be number 1 seed in the playoffs. So he knows what he's doing. He knows he's in the playoffs now. Now he doesn't care about where he finishes. He wants playoff points. So on a day that you're going to see people pit early for the stage, for positioning to start the next stage, Hamlin's going to take the stage win. So I feel like that's going to be a detriment in the final stage. He's not going to have track position to win, but he's going to walk out of there with 2 playoff points.
And by the way, he did win the second stage at Texas this year. And I don't remember what happened in the race, but to me, when you're finishing 18th and you don't really have a really good car, it seemed to me, it looked like that's all he was doing in that race.
That's what he wants. I said once he got his second win, he knows he's pretty much in the playoffs now. You're going to have to see a bunch of guys with 2 wins knock him out. That's not going to happen. So now he's after playoff points.
And Logano won the second stage at Sonoma.
Yep.
And didn't do anything. He finished 17th.
Yep. And I think that's what he's after. He's got 12 playoff. He's the same way. Him and Hamlin both have 12 playoff points. So you're going to see some guys go for, I'm going for that playoff point carrot. I don't care about the race. Yeah, I'd like to take the 5 playoff points by winning, but I don't think we have enough pace to win. So let me take the playoff point that is given to me. So I think you're going to see those two battle that out.
Now, the other 12-1 driver we both have money on. You have actually, he's one of your top money plays for a top contender is Blaney. And that's because you invested 12 to make 144, which is actually $9 more than Elliott with 15 more dollars invested. But Blaney was 6th in both races this year. He's won a road course before. And yeah, for me, it was like, hey, you know what? He's back in a groove again. You know, and that tells me that maybe this might be a week where he can actually do better than 6th.
Yeah, he's got 3 straight top 6s on the season. He's going road courses. He's good on the season. We've seen a lot of parity on these road course races. I mean, you've had Allmendinger win one last year towards the end of the year in Indy. You have Chastain and Suarez picking up wins this year. It's like, why not Blaney? Why not somebody you've got to be consistently up front. He's another guy that he doesn't necessarily need playoff points for the win. He needs a win. So he may be one that has speed that might punt on stage points to position himself to win the race. So I think it's kind of lining up for him. I don't think the Hendrick guys obviously are as dominant on road courses anymore, so the door is open. And Blaney seems to kind of be the closest one to break through. Chastain and Suarez already went through. I think Blaney's sitting right there.
Then at 15-1 is Bell. As I mentioned, we all have Bell. 2nd in this race last year, 3rd at Texas this year. The only thing that I didn't that just a little bit of a is what happened at Sonoma. It's like they had nothing at Sonoma from the time they got that car off the truck. Nothing. And that's just very strange.
Yeah, that's what scares me a little bit. But 15-1, if he was up like 10-1, 12-1, I probably would have punted on him. But 15-1, you can still get away with him a little bit. And he was good last year. His only win is on a road course at Daytona. And he's good on the season too still. I mean, he still rebounded last week to finish 8th. He's got, 6 top 10s in his last 7? So 15-1, I feel like, especially as weird of a year it's been, out of the Gibbs guys, if one of them is going to win, it's going to be that one.
Yeah, as far as the top contender guys that haven't won yet, you just get the feeling, is this Blaney and Bell's week?
It kind of seems like that way. Yeah, it kind of feel like it coming. It's
all right. AJ Cindric, Byron, Reddick, and Suarez all at 20-1. And as far as that group is concerned, as I said before, you and CJ both had AJ. We all had Cindric. You and I had Reddick, and you and CJ had Suarez. Out of those 4, the only one nobody took was Byron, and that's because, as we said last week, I mean, there's just something wrong with Byron and that team, and there's another disaster last week. So I don't know how you would touch Byron at this point in time. But even though Byron led the first 15 laps, winning stage 1 in this race last year, but then finished 33rd and had 2 decent results this year on the road courses. But as far as the other 4 at 20-1, it looks like, well, you tell me, who's your favorite out of the 4?
Honestly, I'm probably ride the experience with Allmendinger just because he's raced there a lot in the Xfinity Series too. He raced some open wheel cars there. He almost won COTA back in the spring. He was the top 10 day going in Sonoma before that late race issue.
What happened in COTA?
I just feel like
he finished there. What, did he got a wreck?
In COTA, he was when I got wrecked when the last lap.
The Chastain situation.
Chastain.
Okay.
Yeah, remember he was leading in Chastain,
okay.
So he would have finished top 2. He won at Indy road course last year. I just feel like, again, if you're one another kind of fluke weird winner for this year, I'm shocked he hasn't won a road course yet at that point. So why not have Colleague win? So I side with him, but that's a good group right there at 20-1. I mean, even Penske's starting to get their act together with the road course stuff, and Cindric got 4 top 11s in his last 5. So he's another one to watch. He wants a win. I feel like he'll punt on the stage points too. Oddly enough, because he's kind of on that bubble.
Yeah, his stage points are so low.
Second win.
Yeah.
It is. If he gets a second win, then he doesn't have to worry about it anyway.
Right.
So
yeah,
he's going to be another one.
No, that's the one I would have gone with out of that group, because he was 8th at Texas, 5th at Sonoma. We know he's a good road course driver. And as we said last week, Cindric is starting to get some momentum now. Let's see how he does this week. Well, this week was last week when he finished 7th. So he's just continuing to, he's back in, he is in his best groove stretch of the entire season.
Yeah, heading to a track that kind of suits his groove anyways. He's a road racer by nature. So it's kind of a good track for him coming up with this groove. So it kind of stars are lining up for him as well too.
Okay, then
very least, I think a top 5 out of him.
None of us took the 25-1 shot to Bowman or Briscoe. Bowman was 2nd at Texas. Not that he had a second place car. Briscoe was 6th in this race last year. Nobody took Kurt Busch either at 30-1. He was 4th in this race last year. His results on the road course races not very good this year. Out of those 3 drivers, anything?
Gosh, probably not. I'd punt on all. I mean, Briscoe would be the closest because he's won a few road course races in Xfinity, but Bowman, and I just feel like him and Byron are train wrecks right now. I don't feel like anything out of them's coming good.
Yeah.
And Kurt, as we talked about Toyota struggles earlier, he's part of it. So out of default, I guess Briscoe is the only one left. And so out of those, but again, he's not running well lately either. So
35-1 Buescher, 40-1 Harvick, and 50-1 McDowell. I put some money on Buescher and also on, actually I put money on all 3. CJ put a little bit on McDowell. You put a little bit on Harvick and McDowell. I just decided with Buescher at 35-1. He's worth a couple of bucks after his second place finish at Sonoma. And it's not like he's in a pretty decent stretch overall. I was actually thinking about picking up him. McDowell was the clear guy, but the reason for Buescher was he was 7th at Atlanta this year. That's coming up next week. And again, the second place on the road course last time out. But Buescher needs to have the repeat like top 5 this week before you start getting crazy with him. Harvick, 4th at Sonoma, but 40-1. It's too good to pass up. And McDowell, 3rd at Sonoma, is just in the best stretch of his entire career.
Yeah, and he's won an Xfinity race at Road America before, and he's starting to heat. I mean, this guy, remember, he was usually 75-1, 150-1. Now he's 50-1. Now he's closing down, and he's been good. And yeah, he's won at Road America before. He's run open wheel cars like Allmendinger at Road America before. So definitely, while you could give him at 50-1, I have a feeling he'll qualify well too. And then Harvick, I feel like pretty soon he's going to be that breakout guy. I mean, you keep getting him at these 40 and 50-1 and 30-1 odds, which is, I mean, he's got 6 top 10s in his last 8 on the season, 2 top 11s in the 2 road course, right? It's like 40-1. What do they know that I don't know? It's like he's kind of sitting there as your guy that you can, if you invest enough in him, I feel like he's that next breakout big buck winner because you keep getting this guy. I almost feel bad each week not investing more on him because you could win a lot if he's going to win by not having to invest so much.
Yeah.
But because once he wins, you're probably going to get 12 and 14-1 on him.
Well, I just hope that for our sake that he doesn't just win a race out of nowhere and then doesn't do anything again. So you can't capitalize on it afterwards. And it's just, I'd like to see some indication though that maybe just like, can you win a stage? Do something.
Yeah, do something.
Yeah. Where I can go, all right, I'll take it down to 25-1 and I'll invest maybe now 10 or 15 bucks on him, try to, that would be the type of driver that could really help us to make, to make back like $200 or $300 on a given week.
He would be. He's your guy. He's your climb out of the hole guy. It's just, when do you jump in to get out of the hole on him?
It's not a bad week, all things considered. So
he's the guy where the pool's a little cold and you just keep sticking your toes in. Like, I'm eventually going to jump in this thing, but show me something to make me want to jump in. And he just, like you said, he hasn't quite done that yet.
Well, at least we got some money on him this week. So, and then the only other driver money invested was Jones. CJ put some money on Jones this week. I'm not really sure why, but he did. Dylan is also
70-1 or something. Yeah,
they're both 100-1. Dylan and Jones
100-1. Yeah.
And nobody else, right? There's nobody else. I mean, this is
not on a road course. I just feel like these guys, you're going to have the split strategies. And if you're not fast enough on the season already, that's why it's hard to win a fluke into a road course win. Because if you have speed, you're going to be on one strategy. If you have a decent speed, you kind of split the strategies. And if you don't have good enough speed to be leading said strategy, you don't have a shot. And with these races splitting strategies, I just don't feel like you're going to see a fluke winner like that. It's going to be one of these sleeper guys, but even as we're talking about these sleeper guys, you're still making solid cases. That's like, yeah, he's a sleeper, but I can make a solid case he can win. I just can't do that for much past McDowell for this week.
All right, so that's the deal. Next week, maybe we'll have some time in the next week or two to dive into our futures. But don't forget, all you have to do is go to racereviewonline.net, and you'll check out our futures report. Have you posted that yet for this week?
No, the futures will be up here a little bit later. Yep, I do have our fantasy team up.
Fantasy up?
Yep. Futures. Fantasy's up.
Fantasy up again. Like I said, I picked up McDowell for Stenhouse, so no major moves. Not that you guys are going to touch anybody. No reason for you to drop anyone on your fantasy team, that's for sure. The way your team's going. And next week's Atlanta. So at least we get a little bit of a break. We go back to the mini Daytona, which I'm looking forward to after what we saw last time out. But we'll talk about that next week, and we'll see how this road course does. Maybe we'll have some more excitement. We hope so.
Yeah, hope so. It doesn't hurt.
Well, check it out. Again, all the other information that you want to find out about the race, including the race at Indianapolis, and the IndyCar Series, which is where, by the way?
Mid-Ohio. I'll be there with the family.
You will?
But I'll be there. Mid-Ohio.
Excellent.
Yep, leave Saturday morning. Yep, so I'll be covering it and playing husband and dad and all in one. But it helped me get a little break with them. Like, hey, let you guys go to Mid-Ohio too. And so I wasn't expecting them all to say yes.
How long's the drive?
Everybody's going. It's 4 hours from my house. It's not far.
But that's not bad, so, for a NASCAR.
No, we're just going to drive over Saturday. IndyCar. Yeah, we'll drive over, and I can just do my reports from the hotel. I can get my interviews and stuff and then go knock it out. And then Sunday, I'll just drive back after the race and do everything since the 4th is Monday.
That's right.
So,
hey, celebrate the 4th.
We'll be there. Yeah.
All right, Eric, enjoy the race is that called Mid-Ohio?
Mid-Ohio, yep.
And we'll talk to you next week. Thanks once again. Great job as always.
Thank you.
Enjoy the 4th.
Good. Yeah.
Proud to be an American.
Yeah. With my high gas prices.
Make sure you got $1,000 for the gas.
Exactly. It's probably costs more than we already budgeted. It's going to cost more than our hotel and everything else there. So, yeah.
See you next week.
See ya.